almost managed to catch up. In fact, even till JEE, I couldn't catch up, right? So my strategy for giving JEE was also very different. I would encourage anybody in college, right, whether IIT or not, to definitely try their hand at starting something.
Welcome, guys, to a brand new episode again of IIT Podcast with Somnath. And today I have a very special guest. I'm wearing this t shirt just to show that I'm a fan of racket sports as well. And this guy symbolized that to a great extent. I've seen him play a lot of tennis in his KGP days, and also he has gone out to do many more things. We'll speak a lot about it. Welcoming to this episode. Sorry, Shrrinesh Bala Subramanian.
Thanks, Somnath. Thanks so much for calling me to the podcast. Excited to chat, and hopefully it's helpful to some people.
Yes, we'll get to whatever things that you have done or accomplished, and it will definitely help students who want to follow the similar path. May not be the same, but you have basically gone on to do jobs, business, B school, started your own little. Not little, sorry, started your own venture, and then you are working in Zomato right now. So we'll talk everything related to that. So already the podcast is divided into three major segments: life before IIT, at IIT, and then beyond. So starting off with the first, I'd like to ask you, how were you as a student? So basically, you're the first guest who is from the Chennai region. Where were you brought up there, and like how was the schooling like for you?
Sure, sure. Quick correction, B school नहीं किया, skipped B school, but हाँ सही है. Yes, from Chennai, but never grew up in Chennai. Grew up in Ahmedabad, then Delhi and Hyderabad. Dad worked in a public sector job. He would get transferred every 5 years. That's how like I speak in Hindi at home, which is rare for a Tamilian. All my JEE coaching was in Hyderabad, and I was one of those people who came to Kharagpur from Hyderabad. 30% of the population.
Yes. So, but even before IIT coaching, well, I'll ask you about schooling in your formative years. तो उसमें कैसा था? मतलब did you know कि I'm smart, the कुछ करेंगे बाद में, या फिर you were average and then you picked it up later on?
Yeah, so throughout I went to the same school actually across different cities, DPS, right? So Ahmedabad, Delhi, or Hyderabad, में, right? And school में was top 3, right? ऐसा कुछ confidence, मतलब it was not like super smart or something. But I used to play tennis. I was playing tennis since I was 5. So there would be at least a couple of weeks every year where I wouldn't go to school because I was traveling for tournaments, and but made sure the reason my parents allowed me to like play tennis and travel was because I was studying well. So that was there. About IIT, I think that confidence came around class 10th. Us time, through like luck, ended up topping the school. So then I felt okay, should actually give it a shot for IIT.
Okay, and this is you know uh, so much respect for you. Generally, हम लोग we are good at one thing, कि हाँ चलो either पढ़ाई या something else. But you are good at sports plus exams and topping at your school plus getting into IIT as well. तो मतलब how was the preparation like? So 11 12 में you spoke कि आप हैदराबाद में ही prepare किए थे. तो how was that preparation rigor like for you?
Yeah. मतलब again, I don't think I was good at everything. 10th में मतलब had stopped playing tennis competitively because वो board exams वाला thing, right? Parents tell कि boards बहुत important है, 10th boards and all. So 10th में was focused just on board exams. That's how I think I ended up doing it. I was not like doing tennis and boards. But post 10th, there was this entrance to Ramaiah, right? So which is a big thing in Hyderabad. In fact, like I felt a higher level of accomplishment for cracking that Ramaiah exam and securing a seat in Ramaiah than IIT, right?
ఛీ ఎందుకు నువ్వు బతుకుతావు Wow, nice.
So about some 10,000 people write the entrance exam, and I think there are 200 seats. तो उस दिन जो खुशी मिली थी, and a lot of people go to Ramaiah coaching. I had done 2 month crash course, right? So didn't really expect to get in, and when I got in, I was like, अब तो IIT क्रैक हो ही जाएगा, right? अब रामया हो गया तो and then funny thing, so Ramaya has a format where they have classes for 3 hours a day, either morning or evening. Rest of the day you study by yourself, right? And so I joined the morning batch, so I think it was 5 to 8 or something, and then I would finish the class and then come home and chill, right? I wouldn't do anything. I would be playing computer games. तो ये 2-3 महीने चला, and parents were like, this doesn't look like JEE preparation, right? तो आई थिंक सिमिलर टाइम कुछ दुर्गा पूजा वेकेशंस थे, आई थिंक 1 week vacation, and they just took me and they put me in Narayana, right? And Narayana, the format was different. It was 6 a.m. to night 10 p.m. Right? You are in the classroom. Of course, 6 hours of those are classes, and remaining time is self study. But it's not self study, right? You are in a classroom. There are some invigilators there, right? So sure, if you don't want to study, you just stare at a book and don't study. But you can't like play games and stuff. Yeah, and then continued at Narayana for 2 years. It was a little challenging that phase because moved institutes, right? So in the 3 months in Ramaya, it was just picking up pace around syllabus coverage and all. When I moved to Narayana, they completed like more than half the syllabus. So like catching up was something which was pretty hard to do because I had to teach myself, right? For example, if you look at topics and all, रोटेशनल डायनेमिक्स चल रहा था यहाँ पे, राइट? या कंप्लीट हो चुका था, और वहाँ पे तो कुछ काइनेमैटिक्स पढ़ रहे थे हम, राइट? सो एंड देन इन मैथ्स इंटीग्रेशन चल रहा था, मुझे डिफरेंशिएशन भी नहीं पता था, राइट? सो so it was pretty tough that way, but like over those 2 years picked up. So Narayana has this format where every weekend you have exams, right? And then they have two exams, एक होता है उस हफ्ते का जो भी सिखाया है, and then the other is cumulative. So yeah, matlab, almost managed to catch up. In fact, even till JEE, I couldn't catch up. Right. So my strategy for giving JEE was also very different. Right. Like I caught up in physics. So I said, "Bhai, physics में full marks मारेंगे." Maths I couldn't catch up. So I went with that handicap कि maths में तो कम आना ही है, but will make up through physics and crack JEE. Right. So वो वाला चीज था. So I think one learning from that journey is never change institutes. I would not recommend anybody to change institutes when you're preparing for JEE.
Shrrinesh, you were one of the proponents of coaching style जो uh, in the IT preparation coaching. So why are you so for it?
यार तू आई थिंक बिकॉज आई बेनिफिटेड फ्रॉम इट, राइट? सो आई थिंक जो कोचिंग सिस्टम है, राइट? So there are two kinds of people. One who do very well with self study, right? So for them, nobody's making it compulsory to go to a coaching system, right? So sure, do self study and get through, right? But what a coaching system ensures is that you have done a lot of practice, so your odds of cracking the exam improve, right? Especially taking I'm sure today all coaching centers do this, but at least in the coaching center where I was in Narayana, right, like we had exams weekly, right? So that made sure taking an exam was natural. It came natural to you, right? Like you didn't stress out too much, right? And then you get feedback. Okay, on this topic you're not doing well, then you'll work on that, right? So and then this the coaching system also makes sure you're putting in the hours, right? So you always talk about smart work, hard work, right? Yeah, smart work is better than hard work, but hard work is better than no work, right? So in my case, जैसे मैं जब रामाया जा रहा था, I was coming back home and doing nothing, right? So personally, for somebody like me, what a coaching center ensured is कि यार I put in the hours, right? And I would chill. I was not studying all the time in the study hours, right? Like a lot of the time I would just probably dream, right? Like I'd just be looking at the book and dream, right? Like because I was not used to putting in that many hours. But it ensured कि यार I was giving my best shot, right? अगर ये same चीज self study में होता, I don't know if I would have got the same rank, same results, same level of confidence, right? But what the coaching center did was, so how I saw it was like 2 years of tapasya, right? So in fact, like मेरे parents के लिए भी था, like my mom had quit her job and stuff to support me during
Ah,
this.
okay.
Yeah. So I saw it this way कि यार 2 साल का तपस्या है, right? Like अगर हो गया तो बढ़िया, नहीं हुआ तो ठीक है, कहीं और चले जाएंगे, इतना कोई लोड नहीं है, राइट? लाइक बिट्स इज ऑल्सो आई कंसिडर इट एज गुड एज IIT only, right? So yeah, you put in those hours and effort, and then if you're getting in, you know the benefits, right? You get a great peer group, right? uh, उनके साथ मतलब these are good friends for life, right? And also like you get a lot, you get inspired by each other. This happens a lot, right, at IIT. I think because so many smart people, everybody is good at something, right? Every day you're getting inspired by a friend, right? So,
And
what
was
the
you?
worth the hard work. And I'm saying what coaching system does is it increases your odds of success, right? So easily I would say, sure, it might be hard, but yeah, I think if you want to improve your odds, then go for it.
हाँ डेफिनेटली दैट एंगल इज वैलिड क्योंकि मतलब वो एग्जाम डे का एंजाइटी इट काइंड ऑफ डिसिपेट्स कि इतने एग्जाम्स दे चुके हैं कि बाई द डे यू रीच योर एग्जाम सेंटर फॉर एक्चुअल एग्जाम्स इट विल बी लाइक मसल मेमोरी हो चुका है इन अ वे कि इन
That's just one
स्पोर्ट्स
aspect.
एनालॉजी.
One
हाँ.
aspect. I'm saying there's another aspect, which is you have put in that many hours, right? Just think about it. If I take my own example, right? If I was not in Narayana, I would not have studied that many hours. So, like I would not have scored as much, right? So, it's your baseline becomes you've put in the hours. Uske aage, sure, the angle which you said ki you're not getting stressed from the exam and all, right? Like I'm saying, not getting stressed in the exam probably that's easier to do, but the hours wala cheez which it ensures, right? Like that way, it's basically think of it. Somebody has built the system. You don't need to like invent the wheel. यू डोंट नीड टू थिंक कि कौन सा सब्जेक्ट मैं पढ़ूं, कौन से सब्जेक्ट को कितना वेटेज दूं, वो सिस्टम पूरा बिल्ट इन है, राइट? यू जस्ट डू योर जॉब, राइट? लाइक यू जस्ट लिव एंड देन यू गेट द रिजल्ट.
Any negative aspect of वो coaching centers जो कि you did not like क्योंकि let me ask you more pointedly कि जैसे उधर there is a focus on maths physics chemistry as a whole मतलब वो 2 years जैसे 2 years का तपस्या you were saying and it's only that you focus on मतलब और कुछ ज़्यादा होता नहीं कि है ना कुछ cultural aspects पढ़ा लिया कि English संस्कृत कुछ कुछ भी anything else does that play a role in maybe later on कि you're not that well versed with the other subjects.
No,
नहीं ना.
I don't feel that way. मतलब for 11th 12th, whether you went to coaching or not, maths physics chemistry are your top three subjects, right? आप normal school गए, even then you would have been focusing on these three subjects. uh, the negative I would say is some level of pressure, right? Like that's there, right? And that I think varies, coaching center to coaching center, parent to parent, right? Like अगर coaching center भी pressure डाल रहा है, parent भी pressure डाल रहा है, बच्चा already pressure डाल रहा है, right? So I think the stress angle is the only negative, right? Um, so there is a right mix, right? For example, I went only 11th 12th for this coaching, right? So bus 11 12th if you're doing, then it's still fine, right? If somebody is doing from 8, then I think it's the tapasya is longer. I don't know if that's required, right? 11 12th is good enough, right? उसके पहले अगर आप कोचिंग के लिए जा रहे हो, probably you go for fewer hours. Weekend coaching you can go, you don't need to go for this 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. wala thing from 8. Maybe that's not required. Sure, that'll also give you an advantage, 100%. You look at the top rankers, at least हमारे coaching center में and all, a good number of them have been doing it from 8th, right? So you'll be ahead, right? It's rat race type ही है, right? It's how ahead do you start? वो वाला चीज़ है.
Okay. Uh, okay. So Ramaiah you cracked and then preparation for 2 years and उसके बाद आता है आईटी एग्जाम डे सो यू ऑलरेडी स्पोक अबाउट की स्ट्रैटेजी क्या था was that strategy useful एग्जाम डे में कि मतलब उस दिन अलग ही चल रहा था.
Uh, yeah, I remember that day pretty well. So, uh, my strategy, like I was telling you, right? Key physics है 160 marks, I think so. Each subject was 80, right? So 160. So I was like, need to score 150 160 in physics क्योंकि maths में तो high नहीं आएगा. Maths में my aim was probably 70 80 something. Overall needed to cross 300 ऐसा कुछ aim था, right? तो उसी स्ट्रैटेजी से गया पहले पेपर में, और पहला पेपर फिजिक्स का थोड़ा मुश्किल था. तो मैं सॉल्व करे जा रहा हूँ मतलब आई एम नॉट एबल टू फिनिश इट दैट क्विकली, राइट? सो आई सेड चलो, आई इंस्टेड ऑफ 1 hour, आई थिंक 3 hours per paper, right? I said I'll give 1.5 hours to physics, so I need to score those marks. मैथ्स आधा घंटा वैसे ही क्या कम कम मार्क्स आने वाला है तो आधे घंटे में ही करते हैं, राइट? तो किया एक्स्ट्रा एंड उसके बाद ठीक है, देन 1.5 hours हो गया, देन आई मूव टू मैथ्स, राइट? आई थिंक केमिस्ट्री करके तो मैथ्स आई थिंक आई डिड इट इन द लास्ट हाफ एन आवर बिकॉज एनीवेज दैट वाज माय प्रायोरिटी 3 सब्जेक्ट, राइट? एंड देन आई एम रियलाइजिंग कि यार मैथ्स बहुत आसान है, हमारे साल मैथ्स बहुत आसान आया था। एंड देन आई डिडंट रियली गिव इट इनफ टाइम, सो माय स्ट्रेटजी बैकफायर्ड, तो पहला पेपर तो अच्छा नहीं गया था। तो came back and I had given a lot of these mock exams at Narayana, right? So I never ever slept between the two papers, right? And JEE के दिन पहले दिन like I just came back home, center घर के पास था, and slept for half an hour, right? Because like पहला पेपर तो अच्छा नहीं गया। Then went for paper two. तो paper two I think was better. उसमें physics में full marks आए थे। तो ओवरऑल आई थिंक या समहाउ मैनेज। इस बार थोड़ा पता था कि मैथ्स आसान है तो उस पे दिया, 1 घंटा भी दिया। सो या
Okay. So after the exam day, थोड़ा सा टाइम मिलता है, then we get to the result day as well. So do you remember your result day experience?
या तो एक तो ऑल ऑफ अस हैव सम टारगेट रैंक, राइट? सो आई वाज ट्राइंग फॉर अ टॉप 500 रैंक, राइट? एंड अ लॉट ऑफ अस आल्सो एस्पायर कि ये आईआईटी जाना है, राइट? सो हम एटलीस्ट हमारे सेंटर में एवरीबॉडी इज लाइक आईआईटी बॉम्बे जाना है, एंड आई वाज ठीक है, आईआईटी बॉम्बे नहीं होता, आईआईटी मद्रास जाएंगे बिकॉज आई एम फ्रॉम चेन्नई, राइट? तो अब जेई के बाद तो ये तो बस पता चल गया कि टॉप 500 तो नहीं आने वाला है, राइट? एंड तो रैंक अराउंड 2000 आया था, सो इट वाज लाइक ओके, इट वाज नॉट लाइक some delight or anything. It was like, ठीक है, हो गया types. And that was the reaction. Yeah.
Any celebration?
No celebration as such. It was because didn't meet the expectation, na. But उसके बाद there was this entire counseling phase, right?
Mhm.
काउंसलिंग फेज में ऑल्सो ऑप्शंस ऐसे डाले थे कि मोर और लेस आई वाज श्योर आईआईटी मद्रास मिलने वाला है, राइट? मैंने तो अपने कजिन्स को भी बता दिया था, मैं तो आ रहा हूँ चेन्नई, राइट? कैंपस जाके देख लिया आईआईटी मद्रास, ये वो। एंड आई वाज गोइंग टू जॉइन मतलब अकॉर्डिंग टू प्रीवियस ईयर आई वुड हैव जॉइन केमिकल इन आईआईटी मद्रास, राइट? And I missed that by a rank, and then मेरा खड़गपुर हो गया, right? Like, but like in hindsight, glad that that happened because uh, always grateful to KGP. I mean, it's a better decision than Madras, right? Like Madras would have been comfort zone, so KGP में
Mhm.
काफी diversity, made lots of friends. So yeah.
Okay. So with that, we conclude the first section. Moving on to the next. You spoke कि हाँ KGP मिल गया chemical branch.
5 year program, chemical, right? Like
Mhm.
I was okay with that. First year I came with the mindset कि डेप्सी करेंगे, मैकेनिकल को डेप्सी करेंगे। That was the mindset in first year. So I think first 2 semesters where I had like almost 100% attendance क्योंकि डेप्सी करना था। तो हुआ नहीं, but it was fun times.
Okay. Do you remember कि first day का impressions क्या था? First impressions of KGP.
Yes. I think those memories don't go away, like uh, याद है जब कैंपस हम आए थे, राइट? एक तो थोड़ा मैं तो एक्सपेक्ट कर रहा था कुछ लिखा होगा, वेलकम फ्रेशर्स, कुछ तो लिखा होगा, राइट? लाइक कुछ लिखा नहीं था, राइट? इट वाज लाइक यू आर एंटरिंग द कैंपस ऑन एनी नॉर्मल डे, ठीक है? फिर हॉस्टल गए थे, राइट? I was quite excited about moving into a hostel and stuff because all along I had always stayed at home. But my parents were a little shocked at the state of hostel, and this is Triple M Hall, which is quite good, huh? Like compared to other halls. You almost have a private, 2 rooms share a toilet bathroom, right? So, but they were a little shocked, कि, अरे क्या, this is not like great infra and stuff like that. So that was our initial reaction. फिर fortunately from my coaching class there were about 15 people who got into Kharagpur, right? So it was comfort zone, right? उसी हॉस्टल में ट्रिपल एम हॉस्टल में मेरे नारायणा से दोस्त थे, राइट? सो that way parents were also comfortable, okay, friends are going to be around, right? फिर saw the tennis court, I was like मजा आ गया, I was very excited seeing the tennis court, I was like wow, these are synthetic courts, मजा आएगा. And then came to know about this concept of inter-IIT sports meet, पहले पता ही नहीं था, right? So it's like a mini Olympics, right, where all IITs come together, they compete against each other across all sports, right? There's every sport you can think of: hockey, athletics, tennis, football, right? Like aquatics, सब कुछ है. And it's just like in Olympics, you have medals tally, you have a points tally, right? Like if you win a gold in a sport, you get 10 points. You win silver, you get 6 points. Bronze, 4 points, and fourth position, 2 points, right? So came to know about this concept. It was like super cool, right? So I was very excited about that. Tennis court देख के तो मजा आ गया. And then I think orientation ceremony जो है, right, जो VP introduces you, right, like वो नेताजी में जो हुआ था, that was again exciting, right? I think that was the first time I heard KGP tempo shout. तो मजा आ गया. I was like, okay, yes, there is some excitement here. And yeah, so those parts made, like the uh, introduction to college a lot more exciting, right? Yeah.
Okay, so I'll come to an important aspect of IT culture, जो कि food. So coming from South, but you have grown up everywhere. So how was the food like for you? मतलब मजा आ रहा था मैस का food?
तो मेस तो मैं उतना जाता नहीं था. आई वुड नॉट ईट इन मेस दैट मच. सो आई थिंक आई वाज ईटिंग लेस, राइट. Eating just for sustenance कि बहुत भूख लगी है, तो I was eating out a little bit also. But I think, yeah, at that age you're not too picky, right? You'll make do, right? There was enough fun you were having with friends, so not having great food is okay, right? And वैसे भी मतलब छुट्टियां होती है, right? There is a Durga Puja vacation, there's a December vacation, there's a summer vacation. You're going home and you're eating food. So I think मतलब food is not something which is a big part of my KGP memory, राइट. कि देयर वाज लाइक कभी अगर जाना होता था, सीसीडी था, बास्किन रॉबिन्स था, फाइनल ईयर तक सबवे आ गया था, राइट. वी वुड कीप गोइंग टू व्हाट इज दैट, फ्लेवर्स, राइट, टू सेलिब्रेट एनी. But again, there, for me, food was never primary, right? It was going with friends and hanging out, right? That oh yes, I forgot to mention that. That was special about the first few days in campus, right? The people, right? Like I मिले हर एक से, you ask कि अच्छा where are you from, कहाँ से आए हो, क्या rank है, like first those initial days, क्या rank है, अच्छा bit sat में कितना है, ये वो whatever, right? Like so very quickly came to know कि everybody here is like really smart, right? तो वो peer group का जो मजा है, राइट, विच आई थिंक सस्टेन्स टिल टुडे, हैंग आउट विद फेलो केजीपीएंस, राइट. तो वो पीयर ग्रुप वाला मजा तो पहले हफ्ते में ही पता चल गया था, राइट. लाइक पीपल हैव कम फ्रॉम डिफरेंट पार्ट्स ऑफ द कंट्री, बट everybody is a fighter, right? Like so yeah, so that was exciting, and that stayed throughout the journey in KGP and beyond. Yeah, yeah. And then overall, the fact that KGP was not in a city, that was also quite cool, right? You weren't really going outside, right? You were in campus, right? The friendships were much deeper, right? So yeah, the campus vibe was little slower. I don't know if it's a Bengal thing, but सही था.
तो हाँ, बंगाल के बारे में यू स्पोक. वाज इट द फर्स्ट टाइम फॉर यू विजिटिंग बंगाल, और फिर एनी कल्चर शॉक्स दैट यू रिमेम्बर?
Yeah, first time in Bengal, but KGP didn't give me much Bengali vibe, other than the fact probably professors may you would see a higher share of Bengalis. That's the only Bengal angle. Otherwise, very multicultural, right? You saw people from all states. I think our diversity would be higher than other IITs, right? For example, Madras, a lot of South Indians will prefer Madras, right? Delhi, a lot of North Indians will prefer IIT Delhi, right? Uh, तो केजीपी somehow हर जगह से लोग थे, राइट. In our batch also, strength of Bengalis would have been less only, right. So you would have felt like a minority. So
हाँ, एक्चुअली मतलब मैं जाके उधर तेलुगु तमिल, आई वाज नॉट फ्लुएंट एट ऑल इन हिंदी. तो उधर जाके दोस्तों से बात करके देन ओके आई ग्रू इन कॉन्फिडेंस. नहीं तो इनिशियली वाज स्कैर्ड कि हिंदी बोलूंगा तो वो बॉन्ग इन मी विल कम आउट. उधर से आई लर्न टू पिक अप द बंगाली एक्सेंट, और फिर अभी बेटर हो गया होपफुली. Others will also feel so. But then you spoke about friends growing up, this multicultural people, and then also you had a sports had a big role in your growing up in KGP. मतलब एक तो tennis courts were really good. फिर फर्स्ट ईयर में ही इंटर आईटी वाज होस्टेड बाय केजीपी, राइट, हम अपने बैच में. तो
correct.
हाउ वाज दैट, हाउ डिड यू नो not just tennis but other sports also, did it grow with you?
Yeah, it did. Matlab, I think sports was a big part of my IT journey, right? So I think I kind of identified KGP's position in inter IT as like a purpose or personal mission, right? So जैसे पहले साल में like you said KGP में हुआ था Inter-IIT, we came sixth, right? And so we have a very big strength in terms of number of students, and I was a little surprised कि क्यों हम sixth आ रहे हैं, and then I saw कि हम पिछले 5-6 साल से sixth आ रहे थे, right? And that of course improved. So that was one of the reasons I actually contested for G.Sec कि यार थोड़ा change करते हैं ये, right? And that year, the year I was G.Sec, हम लोग third आए थे. Uh, Inter-IIT was I think in Roorkee, uh, Roorkee or Guwahati. So, but yeah, sports, the Inter-Hall scene is also pretty intense, right? So Inter-Hall is nothing but the same Inter-IIT ka mini version happening uh, in Kharagpur, right? Where it's very intense. You've seen, right? Like where you will go and cheer your team, right? Like boo against the opponent hall, right? It's very serious, right?
वेरी सीरियस वेरी मतलब हम लोग को रीस सॉरी हम लोग को ऑपोजिशन रिसर्च करना पड़ता था ओके इस बंदे का यू नो वेरी सॉरी कि हम लोग ऐसे करते थे बट अगेन इस बंदे का गर्लफ्रेंड का नाम ये है तो वो लेके चिढ़ाएंगे तो ही विल बी लॉस ऑफ कंसंट्रेशन फिर हारेगा दैट वाज द लेवल ऑफ
Yeah,
कंपटीशन तो
yeah.
हाँ जीसी
Sports
या
was intense, and GC actually applied to all genres, right? Sports, cultural, tech, right? So all the three GCs equally important, right? So I think that was a very good part. Just like sports was for me, right? For few folks it was cultural, for few folks it was tech, right? So you were more involved in cultural, right? Cultural and tech, correct?
या या
Yeah.
बंगाली एलोक्यूशन एंड ड्रामेटिक्स एंड ये सब
So yeah, I mean that inter-hall championships kept those competitive spirits and collaboration, right? So competitive spirits with other halls and collaboration with your hall mates, right? So those are the nights you'll remember, because at the end of the day, like I think we are wired to, uh, compete, and then okay, if you don't do well, learn from it and then try again, and if you do well, celebrate, right? So that was also a pretty good aspect, and sports infra was quite nice in Kharagpur. So across all sports, right? For me at least, every December was my favorite month, right? Because inter-IT would happen. हम लोग ट्रेन से जाते थे खड़गपुर से, right? Like so the tennis team was, it's almost like family, right? So because the team was also the same team for all the years, right? तो ट्रेन से जाते थे दूसरा आईटी, right? रुड़की गए, गुवाहाटी गए, right? And then inter-IT would last about a week or two, right? एक दो हफ्ते लगते हैं, right? So you have your round robin formats initially, then quarterfinals, semifinal, finals, right? And then parallelly you'll go support your campus in the other sports, right? We would go cheer for basketball, cricket, football, right? So that was quite fun, right? Like you are trying to win a medal so that you can contribute to KGP winning the GC, right? So uh, that was my favorite part of every year. So every year I would be waiting for December hoga inter-IT jayenge, right? So first part would be, you want to reserve a spot, you want to do well within your campus, right? Like make it to the team, and then the second part would be wahan pe you want to win a medal, right? Ideally gold. So
Okay. You spoke about running for uh, general secretary KGP के sports में. तो what was that like? मतलब वो election is not a very in I don't think many people are informed कि कैसे चलता है election. You actually meet so many people. सारे holidays में जाके you have to introduce yourself to the KGP जनता ताकि वो लोग vote करे for you. So how was that like for you?
it was fun, right? Again, there also friendships become important, right? Because as a candidate, you maybe for context for folks watching this, right? So holidays are when all the students in one hall invite all their friends to come, right? It's almost like a festival in that hall, and all the candidates who are contesting for elections are coming and canvassing, right? Campaigning ki please vote for me whenever elections happen, right? So now a candidate cannot go alone, so you need like 5-10 friends coming with you, right? So again, like uh, our batchmates from our hall, they would come, and to do that in one hall is cool, right? Like, but to do it every day in every hall, right? When they don't even have much incentive, so that's again something, like where friendship becomes important, or you learn, right? And वहाँ पे seniors also invested a lot of their time, right? Like, so there's that SOP that happens, right, where in front basketball court में जो होता है, in front of whatever 2,000 people, you are giving your a statement of purpose. You're telling like why you are a good candidate, right? You share a manifesto also. These are the initiatives you will lead if you get elected, right? So there's a lot of preparation that goes behind that, right? And it's like your hall seniors who help you with that, right? So you do mock SOPs, right? So I think that was a month long, right? So every day, like uh, हमारे हॉल में MS हॉल में like seniors were taking time out, right? They were preparing me for that. So that was quite nice, right? These moments, they strengthen the friendship with seniors also, between batchmates with seniors and all that. So that was it was definitely like fairly stressful, because I had to manage classes, had to manage this preparation, right? And then do campaigning and stuff like that. But it was fun. Made new friends in that journey also. Then Navneet, right? So Navneet was my shadow in that entire journey, right? So then we became very close friends during that phase.
And also MS Hall used to be known, at least in our time, as the sports hall. तो मतलब एक legacy था sports का, and then you also become a big part of it कि G.Sec for I think it was not a lot of G.Secs from MS Hall movie
नहीं,
sports में
there were
थे.
because we used to focus on sports. There were अपने पहले also there were quite a few G6 अपने, like, even after us. I think we had so yeah. I think because we were so our hall was passionate about sports, we made sure we would compete for that.
Okay. And you spoke about कि your favorite time during the KGP year was the December period. So I'll come at it from a different angle. तो December में last year में especially there used to be the placement season as well, जो कि highly contentious part of IIT. In famous कैसे भी देख लो, IITs are known for placements, and then December season comes. How was it for you? मतलब you were coming in from a chemical branch, right? So how was the experience from a different, मतलब normally core branch is considered as CS, EC, electronics, and then chemical का कैसा था? How was your experience with placement?
Mm, so actually, I had two trysts with December, right? एक तो my final year when I was sitting for placement, and the previous year when I was a placecom. So I'd seen that December phase, right? And so had like a lot of empathy, because it's a very trying time for everybody, right? काफी pressure रहता है, right? For a lot of us getting into IITs in order to get those jobs, right? But yeah, placement time. Yeah, I think I got a little lucky, right? कि कंसल्टिंग हो गया, right? Day one हो गया, so I didn't face as much stress, right? तो वो थोड़ा लग था, but also a lot of opportunities are open to people of all branches, right? So I was always gunning for those opportunities, right? Like right from first year, I knew कि I would probably not go in the chemical engineering field, right? Like as a career. So consulting is an example, right? And then there were a lot of I think data science roles, right? Ops roles, right? Just as Schlumberger is one example of a company which comes, doesn't really care about your department, and then they hire you, right? Because most of the times you're learning on the job. Whatever we studied is little dated, right? So you're learning on the job, whatever job that is. So I was always gunning for jobs which are open to all departments. So उसी में consulting was one of those. So I was preparing for that. Prepared very hard, right? Again, got lucky. Uh, Group of friends with whom I was preparing, right? So that was a pretty good group, right? Who helped a lot, supported a lot, right? तो वहाँ पे काफ़ी मदद मिला, राइट? सो जैसे आर केस ग्रुप, राइट? सो वी वर 3-4 of us, right? Aditi, Somrik, and me, right? So Aditi, for example, she got placed before Somrik and me, but still she kept coming and practicing, and she was still coaching us till we got placed, right? So I think placement is also a time when you develop those deep friendships, right? So this, I'm sure everybody has some story, right? Like they would have trying times, and they would have that one friend who's your pillar of support, right? So I think that is the bright side of placement season. Probably there should be a different format for placements. I don't think it should be that 10-day vigorous thing. It should be spread across the year, right? Where people can also explore jobs which they are interested in. क्योंकि उस pressure में क्या हो जाता है, you end up like going for anything that you get. So I think I don't know if IITs are changing anything, but I would say instead of cramming all companies in those 10 days, it should be a little eased out.
एक्चुअली एंड इट्स नॉट एज इफ कि मतलब वो 10 days में मिलना या ना मिला हैज अ लॉट ऑफ से इन लेट्स से 5 years टाइम. उसके बाद यू विल गो इनटू योर ओन सेपरेट डायरेक्शंस, तो उसके लिए सो मच स्ट्रेस गोज इनटू इट. मतलब
Yeah,
एक्चुअली great that you got in day one. मतलब ऐसे you will know कि day one is highly glorified IIT के अंदर मिला तो इट्स a separate level of respect. बट हाँ उसके लिए I personally got into day 8. तो मैं आई वाज जस्ट जोकिंग विथ माई सेल्फ कि day 1 बट week 2. तो उसके लिए देर वॉज अ सेपरेट पीपल की जिनके साथ मैं जाता था ऑलमोस्ट डेली, जो मेरे साथ ही हुआ था. एंड आवर placement professor at that time was Mr. Professor Sudhir Kumar Parai. So he used to be there every morning, and he was a big help. But एक
ऐसा
फनी
fun.
इंसिडेंट भी है. या वेरी फनी मैन वो तो. ठीक है, हर सुबह हम लोग पहुंच जाते थे. सो ही सी माई फेस फॉर एवरी डे ऑलमोस्ट 8 days. तो हर सुबह लाइक ओके तू फिर से आ गया. तो at one point it had become a regular phase. So yep, I've seen people struggling with more as well. But yeah, it has to change somewhat. Maybe they are changing. Maybe different avenues we have. There's a lot of information out there. Off campus भी place हो रहे हैं, and opportunities are there very much. So yeah, IIT को yeah, I'm not my favorite time at IIT. So
Yeah.
definitely.
In fact, I'd like to, at least to those who are watching this podcast, right? I'd like to tell, उस टाइम पता नहीं था, आज पता है, right? कि उस
Mhm.
टाइम लग रहा था कि यार this is make or break, right? कि placement बहुत important है. Which day you get placed, which job you join matters so much, right? And then आज तो पता है, आज कुछ 8 साल हो गए क्या? Like since we graduated, right? So everybody does well, yeah. Like if not the first job, you can switch. Second job will be the same thing, right? Everybody does well, right? Like wherever you join, you do well over there, you'll get rewarded, you'll grow faster, right? So uh, this time we didn't know, right? So I think people who are in campus, they shouldn't stress too much about it, right? Like whatever job they get, right? There are going to be multiple opportunities, right? आगे जाके भी laterally switch कर सकते हैं, MBA भी कर सकते हैं, masters कर सकते हैं, right? Eventually everybody does well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And already you guys are in IIT, so a base level of smartness तो you have already, and you will find your way out. It's not कि एक हफ्ता will define your career or
yeah.
anything. It will get better definitely. Okay, so with that, we'll move on to the next section, which is life after IIT. So, yep, what is the current job role you are at, Shrrinesh?
Right now I'm working with Zomato, right? So I'm working on a new product which we are looking to launch soon, right? It's around going out. It's a new app that we are building at Zomato for all use cases going out, right? Whenever you're stepping out for dining out or watching a movie, booking a music concert, uh, watching a sports event like IPL, right? So uh, pretty exciting job, right? I'm quite driven. It's very similar to a startup that I was building before, right? So I am quite excited about this problem statement, right? Again, it goes back to having fun, right? Enjoying life, right? So all these are things you do other outside of work, right? So it's something that I personally resonate to. So yeah,
Yeah.
quite excited
Can you
about that.
also elaborate on a little bit of your career trajectory? मतलब KGP से निकल के how did you navigate to your current role?
Sure, sure. So post KGP, joined consulting. That was a campus placement, right? Like Parthenon had come to campus and recruited, right? So that was pretty good exposure, right? 2 years, got to travel to a lot of international countries because we did a lot of projects in emerging economies, Africa, Middle East, Latin America, right? So that was fun, right? The travel part was fun and also very good colleagues, right? So got to learn a lot, long hours, right? But a lot of learning. So did that. Uske baad then moved into venture capital, right? So that was also there was like a path, right? So it was common for people in consulting to move into an investing role, either in venture capital or private equity, right? We are not the first people to do it. So there was, like we it was looking at seniors. Some seniors had done that, right? So then joined a venture capital firm called Axel, right? There got exposure to startups, right? Because VCs invest in early stage startups, right? So got quite excited about being part of this startup ecosystem, right? Then build the confidence key. Yeah, I can do this too. So then, post my job at a VC, started something of my own, right? Like started a khud ka startup, right? Like we were a small team, पाँच छह लोग थे, right? Like was at it for 2.5 years, right? Just may for 18 months we had like a working product, website, app, सब कुछ, right? In Bangalore, हम लोग बैंगलोर में अपना पायलट कर रहे थे, right? Where about we served some 30,000 customers in those 18 months, where people booked their weekends with us, right? They would book maybe a sip and paint or a dance workshop, music gig, stuff like that, like a cooking class, stuff like that. So that was an exciting experience. And then post that, ideally we wanted to scale that company globally. We faced issues with fundraising. So as we were shutting that down, got an opportunity to join Zomato to build something similar, right? So that's been the journey. Fairly, most roles have been business roles, as you can see, not related to chemical engineering. uh, but yeah, it's been good. Like it's always been learning, right? Like wherever you go, I think your perspective changes every couple of years, right? Like you learn and then your perspective changes. So it's only been expanding horizons. Yeah.
ओके, एक मुझे बड़ा क्यूरियोसिटी होता है, आई हैव वर्कड इन स्टार्टअप्स एज वेल, तो उनका हाउ डज द फंडिंग वर्क जनरली, मतलब यू हैव वर्कड इन अ वीसी फर्म, तो वर यू इन चार्ज ऑफ मेकिंग दोज डिसीजंस, और वर यू क्लोज विथ कि हाउ दिस डिसीजन गॉट मेड?
Yeah.
ओके.
So in the structure of the team is usually there are partners who take that call, right? Whether to invest or not, and they have analysts to support them with the research, right? So that's the structure. So you meet founders. Your job role is you meet founders every day, and then you take certain company that you think is very exciting to the partner, saying like probably we should spend more time, like evaluate this company seriously, and if they're excited then you end up investing, right? So that decision is a function of many things, right? Like 3 4 parameters. One of the parameters is like how large is the addressable market. First of all, like is the problem real or not, right? Like a lot of the times, like because most founders are passion driven, right? So it might be a problem which is more of a want than a need, right? Like so where is the problem in the need versus want, right? Second, like if the problem is real, how large is the market size, right? You look at that. You look at then you look at the solution, right? Like and its differentiation versus competition, right? And then a lot of weightage in early stage is placed on the team, which is the founders, right? Like like do you have a high level of confidence on this founders to build a large company and in this space, right? So one, how do you build that confidence on can they build a large company, right? Like so it's a little bit of art and skill, I would say, right? Like which is built over decades, right? Like these partners and VCs, they've been working in the industry for more than a decade, right? So they've met like thousands of founders to build that skill of how to identify like a great founder, right? Like versus the rest, right? But yeah, it's some of the traits are like the founder is very ambitious, right? High level of hustle, right? And then one is if the team is great. Second, the fit with the market, right? Like do they have some competitive advantage of operating in that market, right? For example, if a doctor is building in healthcare space, right? Like that's certain advantage, right? So uh, things like that. If you're previous, you'll see a lot of founders build companies in an industry where they did their previous job, right? Just say ITC se kafi, like folks have built companies either in agri space or in logistics space and all, like very relevant to their job at IT. So that's just an example I'm giving. But yeah, these are some of the things that we look at. Early stage may you don't have that much data. As you go later stage, right? Like then you look at data, right? Like, uh, is this company profitable, or does it have path to profitability, right? Like, and if there's path to profitability, how large will that profit pool become or revenue pool become, right? And then those companies have a, like, technical way of being valued, right, as an enterprise. That's like either EBITDA multiple or a revenue multiple. But yeah, early stage mates, it's more around founder, right? For example, uh, there again, this is a very hotly debated topic, but being from IIT helps there also, right? Because these people have, like, been fighters, right? They've overcome certain hurdles, right? They've been very competitive, but it's not a must have, right? Like, a lot of successful founders are non-IITians, right? So of course VCs don't like differentiate, but thoda sa that is a plus, I would say, right? Like, I would not say not being from IIT is negative, but being an IITian thoda helps.
Okay. So let me ask you from this angle as well, कि कुछ viewers would be in IIT as well, trying to get their first startup running.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they have this great idea, and they are also inspired by a lot of founders who are just seniors, maybe, or maybe they want to reach out to people like you as well. So what are the first things that they need to focus on? मतलब एक तो passion है already, that's why they are starting out. So what other things do they need to focus on?
uh, एक तो one thing which I realized when I started up, कि यार best time to try starting up is when in college. You have a lot of time,
Mhm.
and you have the same smarts as people who are starting up, at the age of 30, 35, 40, right? Even in college, right? And you have a, how do I say, your cost of living is much lower when you're in college, right? You're frugal, right? So you don't mind if you're not making money, you don't mind, right? So I would encourage anybody in college, right, whether IIT or not, to definitely try their hand at starting something. And I wouldn't even put the word startup, right? Just starting some business, right? Whether it is tech, not tech, right? Like starting a business, because there's so much to learn, right? It's just like subjects, right? Like, you learn about what it takes to build a business, right? There are different aspects to it, right? There is a marketing element, there is a, tech element, or like building a product element, there is ops element, right? There is team building element, right? So there are so many elements you get to learn. And anybody starting in college, nowadays there are a lot of resources, right? For example, the best resource for starting up is Y Combinator, right? So it's like Harvard, but for startups, right? So, and all their videos are available on YouTube for free, right? So I mean, they are experts at the topic of starting up. So I would just, uh, you should, I think, share the link to Y
Mhm. Yeah.
Combinator's YouTube channel, right, and just redirect people there, right? So they've broken it down into small modules, right? Like, so they, just like we have so many subjects, right? Like हमने जो भी engineering किया है, they've made this starting up itself into like a curriculum with small modules, right?
So coming to the aspect of what are the skills that you picked up in IIT which helps you even today?
I don't think it's a technical skill as much, right? It's a soft skill, right? Which is your problem solving and your never give up attitude, right? So IIT में अगर कुछ whatever we pick up, right? Take the example of brands itself or ad design, right? Like, जो competition होता था, right? We didn't know anything about ad design, right? Like, but within that time frame, we would look at, okay, what are the best ads, how do they look at, we would look at theory, right? And then we would even come up with a final submission, right? Like, and there's a competition over there, and those final submissions used to be pretty good, right? So that skill is, I think, the most valuable, right? It applies, basically, you are, there's a problem which you need to solve, right? You are learning through whatever resources are available, and then applying that to the problem and solving it, right? And that, coupled with not giving up attitude, because if you don't give up, you'll be at it, and at some point you'll solve the problem, right? I think that is the primary thing, which, and that also learned from batchmates only, right? Like, there were different things you pick up from different folks. So yeah. But what would be one skill which you picked up at IIT? So not like, just so that
Hmm.
if I am missing out on something, right? मैंने तो एक बता दिया, but
नहीं, actually, I think the best. part about IIT which I liked is the culture, the mixing, मतलब how to speak with different people. एक तो था कि मेरा फर्स्ट ईयर में आई यूज्ड टू बी वेरी इंट्रोवर्टेड, वेरी शाई, मतलब लीव टॉकिंग टू गर्ल्स, मतलब वो तो सेपरेट टॉपिक हो गया, बट इवन अप्रोचिंग पीपल कि हाँ मेरा ये प्रॉब्लम है, तू बता सकते हैं क्या कैसे सॉल्व करें, तो वो लेवल भी आई वॉज अंडर कॉन्फिडेंट, तो आई यूज टू, मतलब पहले तो दो तीन फ्रेंड्स ही बने, आई वॉज लकी कि मतलब दे स्टक अराउंड फॉर सम टाइम, एंड देन उससे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करवा लेता था, बिकॉज आई वॉज नॉट द स्मार्टेस्ट इन द रूम, इन एनी रूम, बट वो हेल्प लेने का जो तरीका होता है, कैसे पूछ सकते हैं, देन इट्स लाइक कि लॉट ऑफ पीपल आई अंडरस्टूड वेयर, सॉरी, कमिंग फ्रॉम सिमिलर बैकग्राउंड्स एज वेल, तो उनको जाके कोई मे बी माई रूममेट इज़ फ्रॉम हैदराबाद, या फिर मैं नेक्स्ट रूम इज़ फ्रॉम पंजाब, तो उन लोगों के साथ हाउ डज द फ्रेंडशिप डायनामिक वर्क, क्योंकि लॉट ऑफ व्हाट यू लर्न देयर हेल्प्स आउट इन द वर्क प्लेस एज वेल, कि हाँ सबके साथ, सबका सेंस ऑफ ह्यूमर इज डिफरेंट, सबके साथ व्हाट दे आर इंटरेस्टेड इन डिफरेंट, बट वील हैव टू वर्क टुगेदर फॉर एटलीस्ट 5 hours या 6 hours a day, तो उनके साथ हाउ डू यू find out what the strengths are of some person, weaknesses of some person, and then find a middle ground ताकि we collaborate properly, तो वो बहुत अच्छा लगता था मुझे.
100% agree. 100%. Very, very well put, Somnath. Yeah, I think that's something maybe I took it for granted. But as you were saying, right, uh, in your work life, there is a high level of collaboration. You are working with different people, right? Like, so those team skills, uh, when in college, it's applied everywhere, right? Like whether it's in an inter-hall competition, right? Like whether it's playing sport, right? In fact, even whether it is preparing for exam, preparing for exams, right? Like you are asking each other ki help kar do, isme help kar do, right? So there is that high level, right? And even whenever you're chilling also, right? Within the hall, right? So yeah, interpersonal relations which you're saying, right? You build those interpersonal skills and identifying other strengths. Yeah, yeah.
एंड ऑल्सो लर्निंग अबाउट देयर कल्चर, मतलब एक तो था कि हाँ गुजरात का पता था कि वो लोग चलो नॉन वेज नहीं खाते, बट कमिंग फ्रॉम बंगाली लाइक हाँ नॉन वेज नहीं खाना भी ऑप्शन होता है क्या तो दैट वाज समथिंग एल्स, फिर पता चला कि उनके यार स्नैक्स आर सो गुड, तो मैं उनके स्नैक्स का फैन बन गया कि ओके उधर जाके चखना अच्छा मिल जाएगा फाइंड समथिंग एल्स अबाउट समथिंग एल्स, तो हाँ ऐसे कलेक्टेड अ लॉट ऑफ नॉट जस्ट सुपरफिशियल नॉलेज, मतलब उधर से एक्चुअली मतलब कोलैबोरेट करके आई फाउंड आउट कि व्हाट आई लाइक आल्सो अबाउट देम, व्हाट दे लाइक अबाउट मी, सो दैट वाज वेरी नाइस.
Opened up. So basically people
हाँ
open up. Usually you are in your comfort zone, people like you, right, from your state, your city, speaking your dialect. But when you go to IIT or any college, you see people from all states, and then you make friends with people of different states, and you feel ki, yeah, they are also like us only, right? Like so, yeah, you open up. This I think would happen any college, right? Any college you're going to, this would happen.
एंड
Yeah.
बट हाँ मतलब खड़गपुर स्पेशली इन आईआईटीज वो एकदम सुपर चार्ज कर देता है, लाइक यू हैव टू
100%.
मिंगल विद सो मेनी पीपल.
Yes, yes, yes. मैं तो one of the things I wanted to tell on this podcast, right? Like if counseling में खड़गपुर ऊपर डालो, right? Like because it end of the day those jobs, right? Like the same jobs that IIT Bombay folks get, we also have access to the same jobs, but I think the friendships are so much deeper, right? Because of what you said, right? Like very diverse culture and no city life, so it's only campus life, right? So yeah, it's unknown to the outside world, right? I did not know about Kharagpur, right? मेरे लिए तो प्रेफरेंस में 50 था, right? I had never heard about Kharagpur till that JEE counseling time, right? So I think that's some message. Maybe if not this episode, other episode, you should bring out that Kharagpur element. Yeah,
Definitely this episode also has been quite we went quite deeper than most episodes we do. uh, that was great ending to this section as well. Moving on to the next section, which is rapid fire. Yeah, so
okay.
quick questions, quick answers. So
Scared
favorite subject, huh? Sorry.
for this one. Yeah,
Favorite subject before IIT.
physics.
Okay, 80 on 80, so ठीक है. Favorite professor at IIT.
So this one I actually prepared for because I did not know. I didn't remember the professor name. So Sunandu Dasgupta, SDG, right? He was like super sweet professor, chemical department. So yeah, favorite professor.
Okay. Favorite course in IIT?
Uh, I think PDS, and then engineering drawing, engineering design. What was that? Yeah,
Mhm.
those first year subjects. Yeah, and then there was one in chemical also, optimization, uh, chemical processes or something. I don't remember the course name, but yeah, these were all like very logic driven courses. Yeah.
बाकी सब तो हिस्ट्री पढ़ा रहे हो ना?
नहीं नहीं अरे I was little weak in chemical engineering यार तो yeah, so they could not be my favorite subject. Yeah.
Okay. Most enjoyable year at IIT?
Uh, Tough one. Probably final year, right? Because you have a lot of free time, right? Yeah, you've already secured your job, right? You know what you're going to do. So that last semester is super chill. You're just enjoying, right? I think that's the favorite, not just time of college year, but favorite time ever, right? No stress, just fun. So yeah.
हाँ, तो फाइनली जो मतलब हमको फीड किया जाता है ना कि 10th कर ले अच्छा हो जाएगा, 12th कर ले लाइफ सेट, आईआईटी कर ले लाइफ सेट, फिर फाइनली वो लास्ट सेमेस्टर में मिलता है थोड़ा टाइम।
हाँ, उसके बाद नहीं होता, उसके बाद अगेन यू आर इन द रैट रेस, राइट? दैट इज द ओनली टाइम इन द ईयर, राइट? लाइक
You should मतलब people should speak about this 6 months more that
yeah,
that you should glorify. हाँ भाई, 6 महीने without stress you can stay.
that semester, like I think in our final year, so many people went to Gangtok and all that, right? And Bhutan, a lot of people went on those trips.
Actually मतलब I don't think even acads matter at that point.
Yeah, they don't. Your GPA is not going to change. You have like you've done 7 or 9 semesters already, right? Like whatever you do, your GPA isn't going to change that much.
Okay, most confusing year at IIT?
Yeah, confusing to मतलब what do you mean by confusing? What is confusing?
Confusing मतलब let's say कि you don't understand what is going on, अभी मतलब you're clueless कि हाँ मैं क्या करूँ next या अभी आज ही क्या करूँ, that sort of thing.
Hmm. पता नहीं. I think it's been a while. Maybe third year, right? Like वो internship वाला pressure, right? Like I guess I don't know. But yeah, I don't have an answer to the confusing. Probably the
चलो.
year. Huh?
Okay, favorite KGP lingo?
Peace. Yeah. You could start using that more often again. Yeah.
Nice. And फिर वो टेम्पो शाउट होता है कि नहीं आजकल?
अरे होता है, आज भी होता है यार. जब भी इनफ केजीपीएंस, आई थिंक यू नीड 10 प्लस केजीपीएंस, टेम्पो शाउट तो होगा, राइट? आई थिंक या दैट्स समथिंग दैट्स आल्सो यूनिक टू केजीपी, राइट? सो या अभी our batch folks, they did a reunion, right, in Bangalore. Who also did the tempo shout. So
I was
you
not
missed
there.
that.
Apologies.
Man, why? You should have been there.
Right.
But at least you
Actually,
know, like you can just go to the group, see who are those folks, and you can host all of them on the podcast.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, KGP का टेम्पो हाई है. I'll put some graphics here as well. Okay. So yeah, with that we come to the end of the episode. It's been very fun talking to Shrinesh, who I got to, talk to after a long, long time. And then yeah, he has worked on so many different topics. So many. His career has also diversified. Like we meet diverse people in KGP. So has our careers been like that? And yeah, he has been into sports as well. He knows the ins and outs of funding ecosystem, being in a VC firm himself. So yeah, if any students want to reach out to him, I'll link his LinkedIn description below. So again, and this has been IT podcast with Somnath signing off.